Am I on? Okay. I have a really resonant voice, so sometimes it's hard for me to tell if you can hear what I can hear. Um, I will, just to start off, one of the interesting things that can happen when you are raised in a dysfunctional family is you can become hypervigilant to people's emotions. So here I am, the human sponge, sucking up every tear in the room. And I don't really have any teary things in here, but I can't make any promises at this point because I'm a little full. And, thanks for the ugly cry before people take my picture. We'll just work it that way. Okay, so self-care and balance. This is a passion for me. It's in everything that I do. Like Dave said, I'm an adjunct professor at Oral Roberts University. I teach in the undergrad theology in the pastoral care department. And that is a joy and a privilege. I love being on stage. I hate my picture, so that doesn't make any sense at all. But I love to be on stage, and it's something that I can't not do. My husband and I, Doug, who you met earlier, have begun a ministry called Barnabas House of Oklahoma. It is a ministry to burned out, wounded pastors. And if I started that whole speech, then I would need way more than 15 minutes. And if you ask me, I will talk about it forever because I love it, and it's been in my heart for several years now. I also lead worship at Bixby Community Church. So I am bringing in self-care to my church in that way. And I do pastoral counseling for my cousin who pastors out in Veneta, which is about an hour and a half from here. And like Dave also said, on Thursdays I stay up because I'm a night owl. I'm an unrepentant night owl. I can take a sleeping pill at 9 in the evening, and at about 2 I say, okay, I'm going to bed. And that's every night. And I wake up without an alarm the next day. I'm just one of those people who doesn't need very much sleep, and it happens at a later time than anyone else. And so I think, in the days of watching The Wall, someone had to watch it at night. So if you think it's superior to be a morning person, who was watching when you were asleep? I was. I was watching The Wall. So I get up, I stay up, I go to Tulsa 5 Club because it is the highlight of my week. I wouldn't miss it for anything. There was a blizzard. My husband and I got up and went anyway when they didn't have 5 Club. And we tweeted pictures of, hey, you guys, blizzards don't stop us. I'll take a 2 or 3 hour nap. I go teach my class. Then we have date night, and then we do karaoke. My daughter and I do karaoke every Friday night until 2. We shut the place down and go to bed. Every week. I'm that girl. Oh, hang on. I'm not so good at working all of this part. All right. So congratulations. You got a dream. You took your dream from the dating stage into the engagement stage, and then full commitment. You've got this dream. So now what? Let me tell you about this couple. My husband and I met on a blind date March the 5th of 1983. I was 19 years old. He was 24. On March the 8th of 1983, we got engaged. We set a date. I mean, seriously engaged. We got married 7 months later, 30 years ago. And it was a long distance relationship. I was in Texas and he was in Oklahoma. Now, I don't recommend this as a model. It presented its own challenges, but as far as I'm concerned, when you know, you know. And why would you waste time? It's kind of my motto in general. Well, for the first few months of that, just like with your dream, you're energized. Every moment you're together, every time you talk on the phone, you're just filled with energy and power. And all the dreaming and all the planning. And then we've been married for 30 years. And some days marriage is work. And let's be honest, some days it's life draining. But I want to be married to this man for the rest of my life. It's a choice I've made. So here's where your dream is now. And here's where your life is, right? Work, bills, repairs, family, church, volunteer projects, health concerns. You're trying to keep all the plates going. It's getting rough. You see, some of them were wobbling. Some of them have dropped, right? But you look around and other people seem to be doing such a better job. Right? You know, there's Ryan Eller over here. He's got his plates going. And mine doesn't look like that. Your frantic attempts to restart the spinning of this plate while this one falls. You're sweaty and you're tired and you feel like a failure and you wonder, how did this happen? And why did they look fresh as a daisy? Do you need vitamins? Do you need less gluten? Do you need fermented foods? Do you need a third arm and 8 more hours in every day? Or do you need pizza? Roger Malott in Stress Management Professionals, awesome resource, get it. He talks about energy and time as a pizza. Everyone has a pizza. You have 24 slices in your pizza. Every one of us has them. Nobody has more slices. So what are we doing here? Because some people seem to be getting way more out of their slices than others, right? Well, some people are working with a jumbo and some people seem to be working with a mini, right? So what's the key? What is the key to increasing the size of your pie? Because a bigger pie means more energy. There we go. The key is getting schooled. Now, there are 3 parts to this process. First, you need to learn you. And you do this as important as you do any of your other business things. You need to learn you. You need to be an expert on you. There are assessment tools. There's lots of them out there. Here are 3 that I recommend. The Holmes Raw Stress Inventory I recommend because you need to look at your life and count up your stress points. And if you are ranking over a certain number of stress points, then you need to reassess. You need to normalize, hey, there's a reason why I'm wiped out. I'm not just a loser. I've moved, had a marriage, had a divorce, had a major illness. I've had all of these things in the last year. And with my counseling clients, I do 2 years because that stuff is cumulative. So count your stress points. If you're over, then you need to give yourself some more margin. Do it. Mean it. Do it. Myers-Briggs. Everybody knows about Myers-Briggs. I see it on our Facebook. You know, who's this, who's that? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Do you need structure or flexibility? Are you operating inside or outside of your natural gifts and tendencies? This is really important because if you operate outside of them, you're creating energy drain. That's a problem. Your pie is getting smaller. We need to build that energy back up again, increase the activities that give you life. So here's where this works, this Thursday, Friday routine. Can you guess where I rank on the introvert-extrovert scale? 100% extrovert. Ryan and I are buddies on the 100% extrovert scale. That means that I draw life from people. When people say, how did you go to karaoke after you did 5 Club? Because it's giving me energy. After we left, I was merciful to my house guest and said, would you like to go home? She's like, oh, I kind of would. And so we went home, and then I worked on my presentation some more because I wasn't sleepy yet. Now, eventually my body is going to crash and burn and say, we're not doing this anymore. But if my husband were to try to do what I'm doing with that energy, he would be in the street begging people to shoot him and put him out of his misery. Now, he works harder than me on any other day, every other day. He's a hard worker, but he doesn't draw energy from people. He's different from me. He needs to know him. I need to know me. I need to know him so that after this conference, I need to give him some alone time because, man, he's done. He is so done. And I have to know, it took a long time in our marriage for me to understand that. It's like, man, wasn't this great? Let's do this every week. No, let's not. Things that increase my pie don't work for him. So when he's stressed out, I say, take your camera and go away. When he comes back, it's better than if he'd had a 3-hour nap. And sometimes I remind him of that. I know that a nap sounds really good, but I think you'll feel better if you take your camera and go somewhere. So now that you're an expert on you, how are you going to slice your pie? Now, Oprah's website, love Oprah for some things, has this exercise in setting your priorities. You have to decide, and you need to take some time alone to establish what needs your attention and set it for the next quarter. Lifetime priorities will not work in this exercise. You need to set for the next quarter because there are some things like when Matt went to his wife and said, I need 1 year, he had to have a yes list and a no list that went with that. And she was willing to work with it because she knew there was an end, right? So you limit to the next 3 months, and then out of all those things on that big list, you decide what your top 5 are. That's your absolute yes list. 5 things. Now, this is a discipline. If it's not on your absolute yes list, how about no? How about no? The biggest challenge is setting and holding boundaries. Success equals your significant others know and understand what your yes list and your top 5, and that they know that it's up for review in 3 months. They get that. So you get them on board with your decisions. When it's time to say no, they'll get it. Okay? You start making your choices based on that absolute yes. And this is going to be harder for some than others. Some people are really good at setting boundaries. I highly recommend Boundaries by Cloud and Townsend. Absolutely. It's a life-changing book for me. They even have a Boundaries for Leaders. So I would encourage you to get that. Because you are a well. You are a repository. Come on. You're a repository of gifts and talents meant to bless others. But if you don't have an ongoing way to replenish like a well has an underground spring, you're going to run dry. So if all of this sounds very selfish, the most selfish thing is allowing yourself to run dry and then having nothing to give. When we're babies, our parents' responsibility is to know when we're hungry, we need a nap, or a change of a diaper. Now that we're adults, it's our responsibility. What do I need to function? How do I need to function? It's not my spouse's responsibility to know. It's not my spouse's responsibility to make sure. It's mine. I'm a grown-up. We don't enable others to remain toddlers. That's not in their best interest. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night to the day. Thou canst not be false to any man. This is important. The Bible says we hold this treasure in earthen vessels. I think it's not just talking about being a Christian. I think it's talking about our spirit, our gifts, our talents, our hopes and dreams. They're priceless treasures that reside in faulty, weak clay pots. If we don't care for the containers, that holy wealth will be lost. The truth is, only you can know your resources. The song, "To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, and a time to every purpose under heaven," is about boundaries. Take care of your holy wealth. Work to create balance. Learn to say no to the bad or even the good so you can say yes to the great. The world needs you, I need you, and you need me.